Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, The Road to Exchanging Knowledge. It is presented by Hannah Verhoef, who's an IT translator for the business Bectis, and also this is the Dutch partner of Comintelli. If you have any questions, you may type them into the questions panel and then we can collect them and get back to you after the webinar. Over to you, Hannah.
Thank you, Caroline. Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending this webinar, and I hope it's going to be useful and interesting for you. As Caroline said, if you have any questions, please type them in the bar on the right-hand side, and I will try to answer them after I finish the presentation. This webinar is about the evolution of knowledge management and how enterprise search and business intelligence contribute to today's concept of knowledge management solution of Comintelli software. I started studying the possibilities and impossibilities of enterprise search and business intelligence when I was still at university. One of the things that I found was fascinating was that these two technologies both had to do with data, but were not alike and stood far from each other when it came to integration of it. I visited large business intelligence and enterprise search events and had meetings to discuss how the business could actually combine both worlds and stimulate those two technologies to go towards each other. When spoke about solutions, though in my eyes, enterprise search and business intelligence together would actually become the solution. We're speaking of the year 2008. It's not a very long time ago, and it was also not a very long time ago that I finished my study. I wouldn't be surprised if many of you are older than I am. You could be even wiser. If you are, then would like to hear if you are missing something in this webinar and I can add something to the presentation. This presentation is about my personal perspective on the road to exchanging knowledge, and I would like to share my point of view on the developments in the technology from the business and functional perspective. I won't explain too much about the functionalities as part of Comintelli software, though point out some of it in my slides. I would like to tell you about the developments in the different technologies and where we are standing now, and finally how Comintelli's software relates to these developments. So a long time ago, when I was studying, I chose a Bachelor of ICT and Master in Content and Knowledge Engineering. I started trend watching. I started when I did my bachelor thesis on the feasibility for using enterprise search technology based on personal profiles by using technology that can analyze information. At that time, that was 2006, there had not been much research done on the features of enterprise search. In fact, the first enterprise search software came on the market. The powerful and successful search engine Google inspired many developers. And the web search engine Google could crawl the whole World Wide Web and had created an index of most online information and made this information searchable. In the eye of the technology developers, this should provide the solution for the enterprise. But back then, the technology was still in its infancy. Though the problem was not the upcoming technology, it was actually the business that didn't understand the benefits of these tools so quickly. The business was rather busy storing information in a structured way instead of making their information accessible. That's what I noticed. To many of you, this would sound familiar. Store and save information, especially centrally. It was all about it, and using as much as metadata as possible and using descriptions to make sure the information was properly saved. We were all focusing on gathering that information we had collected and especially saving them at one place. because that was the answer to the information overload, right? Saving all the information at one place. We used often the business network for this, and the lucky ones had a document management system. The information overload had been challenges of every time, of all times. It has been to drive to more development. It has been the drive to more development in the technology. So the attention went towards saving information. And by my critical perspective, I always thought, why saving information? Why would we actually save and store information? It's great to have information stored centrally and saved properly, but then what? Actually, the funny thing is I found the answer in the library. I wished the librarians had interfered more in the business when it came to information management, and actually I still do. Saving information and making this saved information accessible to use it at a later stage. That was it. Why could we save information if we are not planning to use it? Save information to use it. It seems so simple, so obvious, though as we speak, there are still companies focusing on gathering, storing, and saving information without actually knowing why. We should understand we are doing this to be able to do something with our information. There are roughly two ways the business could do something with their information. These two ways were based on the distinction between two types of information, which I would rather call data. It was around the year of 2007 this distinction became clear for the business. We had gathered structured and unstructured data. Business intelligence, at that moment more often called management information systems, had found out how to capture structured data, as in to capture it and actually analyze it to improve the performance of their business. That was what business intelligence was about. Structured data as in numbers or other data with a defined performance for a defined length of format were able to point out how the business was performing and where the management should focus on. This was something the business could understand. And in fact, the visualizations made it even easier to interpret the data for their own cause. The technology extracted, transformed, and loaded the data so it could be presented to the business without understanding the function of the technique. Business intelligence started with technology that basically made numbers understandable. The business only had to interpret the visualizations to understand their performance and learn from their data. That was the first way. The second way the business could do something with their information was to search through the unstructured data to find the information that would help them to do business. The business expected, and still does, that enterprise search would be the same as web search. It wasn't, and it still is not the same. Web search deals with many HTML files. Enterprise search doesn't. Web search, well, does also, but not as much as web search does. A web search is for a heterogeneous group of users, and enterprise search deals with more or less a more homogeneous group of users related to the subject of the information. Therefore, it became more common to apply facets, keywords, and suggested queries in order to find information in an easier way. That's all what happened inside the companies using enterprise search software. The relevance ranking was also worked different. So inside the business, helpful features had been added to the technology of search to navigate through the unstructured data inside of the company. Enterprise search helps the business capture, store, save, and find information, although one must still read the complete article to analyze and interpret it and decide whether or not it is useful. It was somewhere between the business and the web search engines. The initiative to analyze the rest of the data came to the attention. Awareness arose when structured data became saved, stored, processed, accessible, analyzed, and visualized through and unstructured data did not. The web search and the enterprise search had made the stored, saved, and processed information accessible and findable, though it was not possible to analyze unstructured data yet. Several researchers have made clear that all of the information inside a company, only 20% was structured data. There was a lot of information that did not get analyzed. And again, I asked myself, why? The search specialist got down to this question. Google became more and more popular, and the evangelists for enterprise search have worked hard to introduce this technology to the business. It must be said that Google had found out the way to structure data make it findable, but had not reached the point of analyzing this data. The technology of business intelligence was neutral towards the development of analyzing unstructured data. Many small initiatives arose in the field of ICT. Think of text mining and natural language processing. These technologies are developing very fast nowadays to become powerful enough to process large amounts of unstructured data. It is complex, especially with understanding the sentiment of the text. For instance, a social media message. Social media monitoring is the most well-known technology, I think, that shows a fragment of the possibilities of analyzing and visualizing unstructured data by using the features of text mining. I've noticed that today and during a couple of years, the developers of mentioned technology work hard to fill the gap and create the tool that would be able to capture, store, save, process large amounts of data regardless the type of data, and make it searchable and ready to be analyzed and visualized. This is where the hype named big data came in. The term got introduced and all of a sudden created an awareness. Big data was something that finally reached the business again. Technology and business came carefully together, in my opinion. Big data was nothing really new, actually, though it was apparently necessary to get the attention of the business. This hype has caused a new wave in the development of technology and opened eyes. Now we don't speak of solely storing information at one place, but the business understands more and more the value of data and doing more with our data. Unfortunately, but argumentative, the business is put a little more under pressure to deal with big data by the technology suppliers, but by emphasizing the rapid growth of data. Nevertheless, I do encourage the developments of the technology and that they're finally meeting each other. Knowledge management is an approach of all times, a movement and an inevitable phenomenon when business is dealing with information. Knowledge management is more than technology. Knowledge management was there before technology even existed. Someone told me yesterday that knowledge management was from before my time. I know I'm not that old, but still I disagree. It's still from my time as well. But then perhaps I would say in about 10 years to a much younger colleague, okay, big data, that's like so before your time. Anyways, I agree the phenomenon of knowledge management has been a very long durability in the world of information. Even though knowledge management was there before technology, I am not saying knowledge management and technology don't go together. In fact, Technology has a supportive role in knowledge management. Knowledge management shows that information is knowledge or could become knowledge. We want to manage knowledge, regardless the form or shape it has. We would like to capture, store, process, analyze, and visualize knowledge. This sounds familiar, right? Knowledge, as in personal competencies like skills, experience, and attitude, and as in records and information like documents and databases. Knowledge management concerns personal development as well as stimulating the skills of employees by spreading information using automatic systems. If this happens in a targeted, efficient, and effective way, then one can speak of knowledge productivity as a result of successful approach. Naturally, strategic insight, acknowledgement of the value of knowledge, and insight of possibilities of knowledge management are needful. I've worked for several projects at different kinds of companies, like Endemol or Royal Dutch Football Association, Hofstede, ING, and the Dutch House of Representatives. My biggest lesson learned for a successful integration of knowledge management for the business is by doing it, taking baby steps, but also making the themes accessibility and sharing more normal. Because it is. We are used to capturing information and remembering information. We are used to processing and searching information. We are used to analyzing information that has come to us by text or speech. We are used to presenting others our knowledge. And last but not least, we are used to sharing information for a better understanding and performance of our living. Why not doing this at the office, in the business, or at work? Try not to speak of implementing a knowledge management tool, because this tool serves the actual movement and business improvements. Show the value of knowledge management by doing it yourself, is what I have noticed. You could choose for a special focus on management information to show the additional value for the business, but especially show how powerful knowledge management can be when different technologies meet each other. Look at the software of Comintelli and how it relates to all this. Comintelli focuses like enterprise search on many options for content integration. Many different types of sources can be connected to the software, other than the traditional search. Comintelli's search technology indexes the content based on the tailor-made taxonomy. First, the taxonomy is built and made specifically for the organization, and then the information gets indexed and searchable. For Comintelli, it doesn't matter where content, information, data, you name it, or knowledge comes from. They should all be made accessible via one user-friendly interface. The software of Comintelli creates insight in the existing knowledge or information that is becoming knowledge. In many different ways, the user is able to find, analyze, and visualize the structured and unstructured data. The software of Comintelli consists of fundamental elements of enterprise search and business intelligence that brings these technologies up to the level of knowledge management. I would like you to have a look at the knowledge management platform of Comintelli. And here are some examples. This is actually the front page, it's what you see. And you can see the search bar on the top. And of course, find, publish, personalize, analyze, and the view manager. That is the function for the admin. And what you see here is that you can find and publish as well. In a regular search application, you wouldn't be able to publish. But this is a knowledge management tool where it's able to share your own articles. So that's why publish is added as a feature. Here you can see actually the background of the software. It means that information has been gathered from several sources, the internal sources and the external sources. The internal sources could be internet, email, LAN, Office documents, PDFs, SharePoint documents, you name it. External sources could be news, market research, analyst reports, email, internet, RSS feeds. That all goes into the machine, and then it turns out information for the analysts, executives, all employees or sales. It aggregates, classifies, and personalizes, searches, analyzes, and shares information. Here you see the elements of enterprise search and the elements of business intelligence, and what is specifically added as a knowledge management. This is another. This is a part of the homepage. May seem familiar to you. You see on the left-hand side results of enterprise search, and on the right-hand side business intelligence. Actually, it is it's the basics of business intelligence and enterprise search, and Comintelli chooses actually for proven features. And it's solid and robust software, which means straightforward, and what you get is not difficult and will work. Here again, it's more visualization of data that is found, and on your right-hand side, there's competitor monitoring. It looks a little like competitive search. But competitive, it's actually a search on the competitors, and later on you can analyze what kind of data is found in this selection of search results. Here again, some examples of the basics of business intelligence is should we gather the data collected on what the users have added to the content. So users can actually classify their data by adding a strength or weakness or opportunity or threat to it, and that's how you have extra analytic to it. On the bottom you can see a graphic that shows how many articles, how many was written on BMW and Audi during the period from the last month, I guess. Here is another example. On the left-hand side, this is a heat map which points out what brand has been mentioned the most in which country. So basically it gives you an overview of which topics are popular at this moment. And this is another screenshot of the search results. When searching for solar technology, this is how you could have the search results presented. On the right-hand side, you can see on the bottom some facet search. These are actually the topics. So the topics that are also used to index the information. So all the information that is indexed is brought under these topics. And just above that in the purple you can see a word cloud, which is actually just a funny way to see which words are popular in the search results. This is actually a very typical knowledge management feature. It's to publish your own articles. You can write your article here, you can copy paste your article here, and then attach some files and links, assign the topics. You can see on the top it says 3 assigned topics, and then 4 preview and publish. This means you are sharing your article with your colleagues or other users, and who these users are actually decided upfront by the administrator. Here you can also see some typical knowledge management features. My alerts, my library, my searches. It's actually a collection of information that is interesting for you specifically. So you can also make this very personally. You can also share your personal preferences with others, and you can see just the general information that's interesting for all your colleagues, or even a selected group of colleagues that could one calls the access group. So creating new information, publishing personal articles, discovering the expertise inside the company, and sharing knowledge is not part of the basics of enterprise search, neither from business intelligence. They are actually part of the knowledge management and knowledge management software of Comintelli. So I'm going to stop right now. I want to thank you for your attention, and I'm going to see if there are any questions. I can't see any questions right now. Are you sure? Okay. Then I'd like to leave it right here and to thank you all.